It is such a pleasure to meet you, Andrey Grigoryev, because the Brook glass cat fountain, which little dogs can use too, but you really invented it for cats, is a marvel. It's everybody that knows anything cool about cats knows about it. I'm like, how do you know about it? Because it's viral. Whatever that means, it's word of mouth, isn't it? You have become the most celebrated, the most bought, the most beautiful cat fountain just because other people told other people. Is that how it worked?
Thanks. It's great to be here, Tracy, and I really appreciate it and appreciate the kind words. Yeah, by and large, that is exactly how it worked. We created, it was the first all glass pet fountain. The way it was originally born, the whole idea behind it was I went through a ton of pet fountains myself, went through all the big ones, the plastic ceramic, and the pros and the cons. There's some things I liked, something I didn't like. Ceramic was great, hygienic, but it was really hard to take apart. You couldn't see the water inside.
Yes.
Plastic was great. You could see the water inside. That's the only good thing about the plastic still. It still had ups and downs. And one day I was just like, I was looking, I was like, oh, you know what? I think we can combine all the best things of all the worlds and not have the problems of all of them. It would be, and so to this day, I wish I had a screen recording of this. I wish I had the foresight to record this on my phone.
Yes.
I went on Amazon and I typed in, oh, glass cat fountain. We could buy a glass cat fountain. I typed that in and there was nothing, nothing, not a single glass cat fountain. And so that's how the idea behind this was born. And one thing I thought was like, am I the only one that's thinking this way? Am I the only one that wants this? And I thought, I apologize, this is my daughter's causing a ruckus in the background.
We can't
Um,
hear her. It's fine. And
oh,
if it was a
perfect. Oh, it's
cat,
great.
it was a
It's only
cat,
for me then. Perfect. That's
but it
awesome.
was a cat, you could open the door and let
Yeah.
the cat come in, but I think
Right.
the child has to stay out.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there, I lost my train of thought there for a second.
You were looking for glass and
Yeah,
there
looking for
wasn't
glass. Yeah,
anything.
it said the only one looking for it. So I typed in a cat fountain and the letter G into Amazon G, and it autofilled glass. And so it told me that
Oh,
other people were looking for
oh.
it, right? Other people were looking for glass. And so I wasn't the only one looking for it. People had this idea in their mind. That's kind of how this was born. And from there, I think that's to answer your question, it was mostly been organic growth. People search for the glass. They found there's the only one, the only option available. They tried it. They liked it and they told their friends. Yeah, we have a lot of folks. One of the biggest validations you get is when people say, it's one thing to get people, somebody buys something and they're like, bought one, I spent the money and I don't want to have buyer's remorse. I like it, whatever.
Right.
But we get emails all the time, people like, oh, I bought a second one and a third one, and I bought one for my
What?
family, and I bought one
Oh
for
my
friends for holidays, and so on.
goodness.
And that's when you have that validation that it really is going by word of mouth.
For me, what was incredible was that Stephen Quant, who's on the show a lot as a cat behaviorist and works with the animal care centers in New York, told me about the Brook Fountain, said he knew you and that you were this amazing guy. He called you Cat Amazing because you also had another company called Cat Amazing that made many other great products. And he said, this Brook glass fountain that he's invented is so fabulous. And I have to say, I thought, glass? Isn't that going to be slippery when you pick it up, or isn't it going to break? I didn't understand what it was. So I reached out to Michael Maria Delgado, who's my co host on the show sometimes. I said, do you know about it? Would you like one? She said, I already have one and it's fabulous. I'm like, really? So I'm slow to pick this up. And I thought, I don't know. Is it going to break? I don't know why I thought it should break, but we all know that plastic is not good. We shouldn't be putting our food in plastic. We shouldn't be putting our soup in the freezer in plastic. And we shouldn't be feeding especially our cats who are so delicate, out of plastic bowls. So everyone's gone to glass or ceramic cat feeding bowls. But I thought that the kind of cute, fun, funny fountains were all plastic. And it didn't occur to me, yeah, not good, plastic. And goofy looking, but not beautiful. So when I looked at yours, it also has this blue LED light, and it reminded me of some of these massage or spas places that have a trickling fountain with some light, and often it's glass, but it's not intended for a cat to drink out of. So is any of it this kind of Zen Om beautiful for the human part of yours? I think that's like an unintended good consequence.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's funny you say that. Yeah, that was pretty much an unintended consequence. That's one of the pieces of people, when we do expos and we do like a cat con or something like that, people come up and, oh, it looks so cool too. Yeah, it's just something about glass and water, just the light
Yes.
plays on it very nicely. But that wasn't like a side effect, I would say. Yeah, we were never going for the aesthetic. It was really the whole purpose was around functionality. So wanting to make it the most hygienic, and the easiest to clean. Those are the two primary goals. It has to be the most hygienic. Glass is the most hygienic material. It's used in laboratories, it's used in science because it's the most inert. It's
Yes,
kind of the same throughout and won't leach anything. So we kind of, it's a glass had that going for it. But at the same time, we wanted to make it easy to clean because we're all human and kind of hygiene. Something's as hygienic as often as it gets cleaned. And if something is hard to clean, yeah, it's hard to
doesn't.
clean. Like you might have something like it might in itself be fairly hygienic, but if it doesn't get cleaned regularly, eventually it become gunky.
Yes.
And if something is hard to clean, it's not going to get cleaned. If it's easy to clean, it's more likely to get cleaned. So really, a big focus of the design was around making it as easy as possible to clean. So all of as much as all comes apart instantly, it's all dishwasher safe. So that was really the focus. And then at the end, I remember even talking to my mom when I showed her the design. At the end, I was like, I'm thinking about launching this fountain. I have this prototypes made. And she looked at it, she's like, wow, that looks really cool. It just looks like, for her, it was like, she didn't think about anything, just about
Yes.
the aesthetic. It was just like, wow, it looks really cool. And so, yeah, that worked out really well for us. And it's funny you mentioned the light too. Like the light is it's a love or hate thing with the light for everybody. So yeah, the light looks really cool when it plays on the water. But a lot of folks were like, they don't like blue light, especially in the dark at night. So that was when we first launched, we did a beta test of about 800 people to test the fountain.
Wow, you really put a massive amount of
Oh
R&D
yeah, oh
into
yeah.
this.
Completely. Well, as you know, I have
Wow.
my other company, Cat Amazing, with the enrichment
Yes.
toys. And so when we
Yes.
launched Brook, we have an elite beta tester club from Cat Amazing. So folks who want to test our
Oh,
puzzles and our
cool.
products. So we
Oh,
launched with them
nice.
first, and I was like, just we want your honest feedback. Like, what? Tell me about
Right.
we want to improve the product. So we did that soft launch, and everyone overwhelmingly loved the fountain. They asked for two things. They said they wanted to be able to control the intensity of the water flow. They said for some
Okay.
cats it was like that much water burbling, so they'll be able to introduce them gradually. So they wanted to have flow control. So we added that. And the other thing was to be able to block the light. So yeah, so we
It,
introduced both those things, the flow control and the light blocker. So if anybody doesn't like the light, no problem. I hear you completely. Uh,
but
and
the
that's
thing
yeah.
that to me is that it has taken off and taken over this niche in the industry. And I wish that there was a bigger one. I said, God, I'd love it for my dogs. You said, yeah, this will be like a shot glass for your dogs because cats are small and they don't drink a massive amount, and small dogs don't drink a massive amount. But I'll say that my dog water, it's one of my pet peeves, is that it gets yucky and there's debris that falls in it a lot. Now, of course, the cats, I hope everyone has an indoor cat, so the cat's not outside bringing back mouse debris or flora and fauna in their mouth, but it falls to the bottom of the water. And in the Brook fountain, you see it. And you also have a filter. It's not as simple as water bubbling up and that's the end of it. It's got a filter that filters all that stuff. And then if it doesn't catch it, you can see if there's something at the bottom or floating. And you can pick it up and rinse it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the big benefits of glass, that you can instantly check the
Yes.
water quality. That was the one thing that kind of like, of the plastic world, that was the one thing I was like, that's an
Yes.
advantage of plastic has. If it's clear plastic, you can see the water. But glass has that benefit as well, and you can just see immediately if the water needs a quick change. So that I think is, yeah, is absolutely a huge factor.
Well, you've inspired me because my dogs were drinking out of a big red plastic bowl. Red just because it was one of those multicolored nesting bowls and it was way too big to cook with. I've gone out and bought a big glass mixing bowl because they
Hmm.
can't have a brook fountain because they're big dogs. And it made me realize, and now when I say to my husband, if I have to go away like to a pet conference for a couple of days and I come back and the water's kind of low, but it's also yucky, and he doesn't see it. It isn't clear to him because the bowl isn't clear that
Hmm.
there's stuff at the bottom. Never mind algae and bacteria. So now a glass bowl, nobody can shirk it.
No, completely. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting with dogs also. It's a completely different world because I launched my whole behind it was all for cats, right? Because I'm a cat person. I've never even had a dog my whole
That's
life.
right. Yes,
But this is the first product where actually it's one of the reasons we created a new brand was we wanted it could be for dogs, it could be for other animals as well. It's not a cat
sure.
centered thing.
That's right.
And we've been delving into the dog world. It's actually been really interesting. Recently, we actually did the Super Pet Expo, I think it was called, in Edison, New Jersey. It was the first expo that we did with cats and dogs. It was actually my father's idea. He's like, "Why don't you guys set up a fountain
Good
right
for
by the
him.
booth so the dogs can walk by and they can drink?" And we did.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to observe because the dogs they're completely different in they slobber. They're completely different size cats, all the standard size. You have one size cat. There's a range. Dogs have no upper bound. We have like a
That's
video of some
right.
200 pound creature like drinks like a shot glass exactly, just like a thimble you're taking out of it. Yeah, with dogs it's interesting. The dogs go through water much more quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, for them for smaller dogs it's really important. For the bigger dogs it's actually interesting to me. It's something I'm thinking a lot about is to what degree, um, how much value they get out of a fountain because they go through water so fast
Yeah.
that it's constantly being refilled anyway. So yeah, there's probably like some like, size of dog past which
Or
below which is the best value and the kind of the value diminishes.
or
But yeah,
which
but
dogs are more thirsty. I think that for me, one of the things about the water fountain that's really important for cats, it's also environmental enrichment for them. They actually like to play in water. Not every
Mhm.
cat. They're not all Norwegian forest cats who would like to get in the water kind of thing, or a Maine Coon cat, but they like to play in water. And many people are either annoyed or go along with the idea that their cat likes to play with the faucet in the kitchen and they leave it
Mhm.
running a little bit for them, both to play with and to drink from. And I had a friend, Karen, who she had one cat, no exaggeration, would only drink out of a crystal wine glass.
That's right.
She
Class.
had to keep a crystal wine glass
Mhm.
on the counter. That's what the cat would drink out of. So I know what to get her for her birthday. I don't
Mhm.
think that cat's still with her, but a Brook glass fountain would obviously solve that. The reason that, and now announcement, excitement, and happiness on my part, why I invited Brook Fountain to be a sponsor of Cat Chat is because cats are dehydrated. 98% of people, no matter how much I proselytize against dry food, and say it's kitty crack and it's not good for your cat, 98% of people feed dry food. So, what it's doing to your cats is dehydrating them from the inside out. You cannot force a cat to drink water, right? It's bring a horse to water, you can't make him drink. But if the water is fun and interesting and it's moving and it intrigues the cat mentally, all they have to do is take a few sips to make up for the fluid they would be getting from eating a mouse, which is their perfect food. So to me, you are the antidote for feeding kitty crack.
Yeah.
Your fountain allows people to feed dry food and not cause down the road kidney and bladder problems, which come from the cat being underhydrated. So if the water's delightful and fun and clean, and by the way, your filter also takes out the yucky smell of chlorine, which a lot of us smell if we live in apartments, right? Or even in a town where you got town water. I now have town water in Vermont. It's whoa, it's like jumping in a pool. It's so chlorinated.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the dehydration issue is a huge one. And it's something that I wasn't even wise to up until I started getting into this. Because everyone knows on basic level, hydration is very important. I think a lot of people don't understand. I didn't understand how chronically dehydrated indoor cats
Yes,
actually are.
yes,
Because in the wild, they get the majority of their moisture from the food that they eat.
that's right.
Because it's like the blood,
Yes.
not to get to the gory details, but
No, but
that's
it's
kind of
true.
that's where it comes from. And you're absolutely right. At home, we folks feed dry food. We're having a challenge with our freshly adopted cat now, who he's only eating dry food. We're working on switching him over.
Oh,
Um,
I would like to make your cat. We're going to do a little experiment with your cat because
I would love that. Yeah,
Cat
we
Chat
would love
was
some help. Yeah.
when we were live on Sirius XM. I did a 2 week challenge. Switch your cat to the best wet food you can afford. And I promise you that in 2 weeks of getting them off of kitty crack, and you have to do it cold turkey. That's the interesting thing. I'll want to do an episode with you about how to get your cat
I
off
would
kitty
love to because we
crack.
really need some help with Vincent, who
It's
is yeah,
very
who's joined
difficult
us
because
recently. Yeah.
it is addictive and it's been formulated to be addictive. And there are cats who cannot recognize wet food, whether it's in the form of a piece of turkey or a piece of cheese
Mhm.
or a piece of fish or even a sardine. So we're going to help Vincent. But in the meantime, the other 98% of the population who isn't trying to make the transition,
They need the
they
flowing
need the
water. Yeah.
fountain. They
Yeah,
need the
the flowing water.
fountain.
It taps into their fundamental instinct that I think all mammals have, not just cats, but really humans too. I'm planning to make an ad like this actually because it came to me that could really make the connection very clear. If you were lost in the woods, right, by yourself, and you saw a puddle, and then you saw a bubbling brook, which one would you drink out of? Would you drink out of the puddle, the stagnant water, or would you drink out of the bubbling brook? And then
That's
like ask
so
yourself, well,
funny.
why? Why is that the case? Why don't you go to why the brook? And we know the answer, right? Because we understand how bacteria like propagates inside of stagnant water, and moving water churns the water, exposes it to air, exposes it to
Right.
oxygen.
Or Andre, raccoon pee. That's the other thing that's in the puddle in the woods.
Absolutely, yeah. Everything that's in there just
Yeah.
stays in there. But animals know this instinctually as well. This has been
Right.
hardwired through millennia of evolution. They understand moving water is safe water, stagnant water is unsafe water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously, they don't know why, but they will move toward moving water. I say, Alyssa, our chief meow kitting officer, she volunteers at a cat cafe, and she actually ran this really interesting experiment. We have it on the website documented. She set up these watering stations for 24 hours inside the cat cafe. We had three of them with a fountain and a bowl, like side by side. And she put a camera on each one of those, and we
Oh,
tracked how
cool.
often each one of them got a visit. And the cat had a choice. There was no friction, there was no barrier to,
Yep.
choosing one or the
Yep.
other. The fountains got 3 to 1 more visits than the bowls
That's
once they were at
fascinating.
it, right?
The
Because
other
again,
thing,
it's hardwired.
it is hardwired, but by the same token, the cat is not hardwired to drink at all. And that's
Completely.
one of the problems. Drinking isn't natural for their tongue. They don't have a tongue that laps it up like a dog does, and horses and other ruminants, they drink in a sucking way, not with their tongue. So the brook fountain, I've looked at your videos, and the cat plays with the part at the very top where it comes out. That's where they're able to drink it, maybe because it moves into their mouth. But they're
Yeah.
not hardwired because they're desert animals, and originally they were just supposed to get their fluid from their prey. So, in order to get them to drink, if we feed them this unnatural dry diet, we have to do something that makes it like Disneyland. So, Brook Fountain is like a Disneyland for cats. It's fun.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, no, it's absolutely right. Cats, they will drink when they're very thirsty, right? And then they will become, like you said, normally that's not their base instinctual behavior. It has to be like
That's
a
right.
extreme thirst for them to actually start to drink.
Yes.
So the more you can entice them, even a little bit of moving water,
Yes.
you can do that. Yeah, and with Brooke, it's actually one of those interesting things that we observed post launch from our customers reporting how the cats actually like to drink. And it seems to be a very broad split. Some like to drink from the very top
Interesting.
bubbler. Some like to drink from that basin. They hit their tongue. That makes a droplet and catches in their tongue. Videos out there of how
Oh,
cats actually
cool.
drink. Yeah, and some of them just lick it off the bowl coming down. So
Oh,
it ended up being fairly
interesting.
versatile to all their drinking behaviors. Again, not something we exactly planned for, but turned out to be kind of like a fortunate coincidence, I guess.
And the design is not what people would expect. If you go to Brook Fountain, you'll see that it's not just a bowl with water coming up in the middle. It's got this lovely dome, this glass dome that the water comes out. That is like it's very artistic. I think it should belong in the Museum of Modern Art Design, like with the great Dyson vacuum or whatever they have in there, or some Alessi teapot, because it flows down this glass dome in the middle, which is part of what makes it so pretty for humans, but obviously makes it have variety for the cat. It's not just water bubbling up out of a bowl. I think that's the important part of it.
Yeah, I've got to send that sound bite to my mother. She's always telling me like her dream is to have the fountain in the MoMA gift shop, the Museum of
No
Modern Art.
kidding.
Yeah,
Oh my
she keeps telling me
God.
you got to get her into a gift shop. So that you said that, I'd be like,
Okay,
that's
I'm going to work
I've
on
got to
that
send
with your
it.
mother. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
work on it with her because I know a
Um,
few people in the art world. My sister was a museum director. I don't no idea
yeah.
how one knocks on their door, but I will say that when I was at Global Pet, I met a Singaporean couple and her cat tree. No, her cat feeder, cat feeder. Yeah, cat bowl feeder is in the MoMA design store. And it's
Oh wow,
nice, but
very
it's
cool.
not as unique as your fountain.
Oh, well,
So
thanks a lot. I
we're
appreciate
going
you
to
saying
work
that.
on this. We're going to work on this. Andre, I love what you've done. You've done such a favor to all the cats. And now the cat owners who say, "Oh, my cat's been thirsty all these years, and I never offered water in a way that the cat could appreciate and enjoy and indulge in." I'd love to see the kidney and bladder results down the road for these cats who have been able to be hydrated their whole life, as opposed to dehydrated their whole life.
No, I really appreciate you saying that. There's always, I think, in business, and in life, you want to have kind of like a higher mission besides just,
Yes.
you creating
Yes.
something, and that's been, I think that's been like a hugely rewarding part of this is getting, like, reading the reviews having people email in. Some people just email in, like they don't even write a public relations email. Oh, thank you for creating this fountain.
Wow.
Like
What a great feeling.
yeah, it's a fantastic feeling. And one of the things we want to try to do down the line is actually expand more into education. So that's kind of what we did with Cat Amazing before. We created the enrichment project. We wanted to educate people about enrichment and the importance of
Right.
enrichment in the home. So we want to do the same thing here, the fountain, but also educate about
The
hydration, the
importance
importance of
of, yeah,
hydration, how to
yep.
keep the water cleaner in a fountain, and just put more emphasis on hydration, water quality, and availability for pets.
I'm thrilled to be part of that educational voyage. And we are going to get Vincent off of Kitty Crack. We're going to
I
do the Cat Chat Amazing transition for him. I'm going to give you some tips and then you'll come back and tell me which tips worked.
I'm all in. I'm all in. Yeah, we've been
Great.
struggling. So
Be
yeah.
my pleasure. I would love to get him on the straight and narrow, get him clean. We'll get him
Uh-huh.
into Cat Chat rehab. Vincent, thanks for the Brook Glass Fountain existing. Thanks for being part of this show and part of the lives of so many happy cats and their owners. Really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Trace. It was awesome to be here.